All right, well, today we're going to tell a story. This story is called Stone Soup, but we're going to tell it together. So I'm going to need all of your help, all right? So each of you are going to have a different role, and that's all you're going to know, and we're going to go with it, okay? All right. So who would like to be the young man? All right, come on up, John. I saw your hand first. So you're the young man. I'm going to need a woman. Anyone? All right, Kate, you're the woman. All right. You can go sit over there once you're cast. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to need an old man. All right, old man. Good. Now I'm going to need a girl. All right. And then I'm going to need a boy. So wait, you're the boy, you're the girl? Okay, very good. All right. So are we ready? So yeah, go over there. There you go. And I'm the narrator, if you were wondering. All right, here we go. Long ago, a young man came into a poor little town. All he had was a soup pot and a spoon. Go get it. The man was very hungry. The young man stopped at a house and he knocked at the door. Just knocked. The young man said,
I am cold and hungry. May I have a bit of food?
And then the woman said,
This is a poor town. We don't have any food. I'm sorry.
Well, now the woman had some beans, but not enough to share. The young man went on until he came to another house, and he knocked at the door. All right, young man.
All right. I am cold and hungry. May I have a bit of food?
And then the old man said,
I'm sorry. This is a poor town. We do not have any food.
oh, nice job, excellent. All right, well, now the old man had a bit of meat, but not enough to share. The young man went on and on from house to house, and all the people said that they were sorry, but no one gave him any food. Now I need the woman and the old man.
This is a poor town.
We do not have any food.
Well, now all the people had a little food, but not enough to share. The young man was still very hungry. Yeah, very hungry. So he came up with a plan. First, he made a fire. Make a fire. Yeah, right there in the middle of town. Then he filled his pot with water. Next, he set the pot on the fire. And last, he picked up a nice round stone. Go look over there, you'll find it. And he put it in his pot. Steam rose from the pot, and the young man stirred and stirred and stirred with his spoon. The young man said,
The stone soup looks good. Soon it will be ready to eat.
well, people came out to see. Everybody come out. They came to see what the young man was doing. The woman said,
What are you doing?
and the young man said,
I am making stone soup. I will give some to you when it is ready. There will be plenty for all of us.
and then the girl said,
How do you make stone soup?
Can you say it a little bit louder? How do you make stone soup?
How do you make stone soup?
good job. And the young man said,
It's easy. All you need is a stone. But it would be so much better with a few beans.
and then the woman said,
I have a few beans.
go get some. Well, the woman went off and got some beans. She dropped them into the pots.
Thank you. The stone soup looks good, but it would be so much better with a bit of meat.
And the old man said,
I have a bit of meat.
look, yeah. The old man went off and got a bit of meat, and he dropped it into the pot. All right, the young man said,
Wait. Oh. Thank you. Our stone soup is getting better and better. Do you?
and the woman said, oh, who's the woman? I'm the woman. Oh, there.
Do you want some carrots? I have some carrots.
Go get some. And then the boy said,
Do you want a potato? I have a potato.
I go get one. And then the old man said,
Do you want some broccoli? I have a little broccoli.
all right, go get some. And then the girl said,
Do you want some salt? I have some salt.
Do you want some salt? I'll have some salt.
great job. And then the young man said over and over,
Yes, 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 yes.
so they all ran off to get all of the food. And the young man said,
Now the soup is ready. Get your bowls and we can all eat.
all right, get your bowls. And then everyone said together, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Now we all know how to make stone soup. And then the young man went on his way and smiled as he left. All right, let's hear it for our actors. All right, well, folks, today, what did we learn from this story? Anything? What do you think? What did we learn from this story?
Everyone works together, you can accomplish anything.
That's right, good. And if we're generous, we can make something better than if we weren't generous, right? Yeah. So today, we're going to think about generosity and what beautiful soup we can make together. Yay! All right, why don't we sing the children out as they head to religious exploration? May the spirit of truth surround you everywhere. May go now in peace, now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Let's quiet our hearts and minds as we enter into this time of prayer and meditation. Let us for a few moments focus on our breath. Let's focus on where we are here now. This beautiful meeting house, surrounded by all those we love. This morning we come into this space holding many different emotions. Some of us are worried about those we love with a scary diagnosis. Those who are sick, those who are grieving. This morning we also hold all of that's happening in our world. We grieve all of those who have been killed, all of those in danger. We fear for our world. And we pray that sanity will return and the killing will stop. Let's hold all of this in our hearts as we enter into a time of silent meditation. Well, now I'd invite Fritz Fleischman forward to give us an update on the annual fund drive.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I actually have 2 moments with the congregation today, but fear not. I will be brief. So here is where we stand. We have 24 pledges to date. So the figures down here represent the pledge units so far. The committee has a deadline of March 25th. And first of all, if you have pledged, thank you so much. If you're still thinking about it, please think harder and faster, and let your fund drive leader know by March 25th what you have decided to pledge. The deadline is driven by the fact that our committee has to tell the board at some point what the annual pledge drive has created, so that the board can come up with a budget for the coming year, which we're all going to vote on at the annual meeting in June. So this is the reason we are urging you, if you have not pledged, to think about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fritz, and to the whole annual fund drive. We really appreciate all you're doing on the committee. Well, now I'd invite forward Sarah Zatoli to share with us a testimonial.
Hi, everyone. So one thing we often talk about at First Parish is how we want to grow. We want new members. We want more families. We need more people on our committees. I want my kids to have peers at church. And as we are reminded at every biannual meeting, we also need more money to sustain the church. And sometimes, speaking for myself, it can feel daunting. I'll give an example from my personal life. Between 2019, when I was pregnant with Ressa, and 2023, when Nathaniel was born, and the average childcare payment in the United States increased by 32%. And here in Medfield, we even have to pay tuition to send our kids to public kindergarten. And add in the cost of after-school programs and summer camp, and oh my gosh, something's got to give. So why do I pledge? I've been pledging since I was 16 years old. And of course, for years I was just putting some babysitting money around, and no one had the heart to tell me that that's not how pledging works. So it counted until someone, I think I was like 25, and someone was like, yeah, you actually have to like keep a record of it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started doing that. But I know that if I stopped pledging, no one's going to stop coming to me for church. I could still come, couldn't be a member. But why do I do it? I pledge because I believe that First Parish is a conduit for good. And I'm not just talking about our social action work. I'm not just talking about our pastoral care. I'm talking about the sermon that you listened to about negative self-talk that inspired you to later tell your coworker not to be so hard on herself. I'm talking about the kid who speaks up when they hear their teacher say something xenophobic, both because of what they learned in RE and because this congregation has taught them that their voice matters by always listening to what they have to say, regardless of their age. I'm talking about the high schooler who, because of the OWL program, is able to recognize that their best friend is in an unsafe relationship and get them the help that they need. So I read up that in a 2024 census of American religion found that 1.7 million people in the US identify as Unitarian Universalists. But by contrast, there are only about 35,000 Scientologists. And if you haven't read any books or seen any documentaries about what the Church of Scientology has been able to accomplish, let's just say they've been able to do a lot of horrible things. By contrast, maybe if we all gave a little more, we could accomplish some really wonderful things. So back to the original question, why do I pledge? I pledge because I may not have faith in God, but I have faith in First Parish Medfield. And I have faith that together we can continue to make a positive and lasting impact.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, now I'd invite up Martha Castle to share another testimonial.
Hey, friends. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I haven't been here that much. For those who were here a couple weeks ago, you would have heard my daughter give light a candle of sorrow and maybe joy. I wasn't here, I didn't hear it, but I have been traveling now all but 2 weeks since January 1st of 2026 for work. And I'm here to talk a little bit about that, but also really to share with you the amazing stuff that we've been accomplishing just here together as a community and what it means to me. All right, sorry, so I managed to leave my notes here, so I'm going to make it up as I go along. I've lost the page that I was supposed to do, so bear with me. I was getting more time. So the session today is about generosity, and generosity for me includes our pledges, but it also is generosity of our time, our thoughts, and our love. And that really means so much more to me when I'm put to the test, I'll say it that way. I work for a defense contractor, and as someone who works for a defense contractor, I have been for the last several years privy to information that most of you haven't been. And that information did culminate most recently in the attacks. I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know when, I didn't know where. And the call to action for me currently is that I am traveling every week because people are depending on my company to replenish the munitions that have been used in these conflicts. And so with that, it's incredibly heartening to know that work isn't everything that I'm about. And I was speaking with Rev Dave and Jeanette on one of our weekly check-ins that the board has with Rev Dave. And I expressed how important that my service to this community and the fact that this community exists, how important that is to me right now, particularly more than ever. Because at the end of the day, we are all faced with challenges, whether it's that we're committed to the tools necessary to keep our loved ones, friends, family out of harm's way, give them the tools to keep themselves safe when they're put into areas of war. That we know that we can come back to some place like this, that through our generosity, a place like this exists, and we can continue to have these conversations, express our hopes, connect together as a community. And I do that personally by both being a congregant, but as a donor, but also as well as serving on the board. And what I realized during these hard weeks is that I am who I am because of First Parish, but there's a paradox there, because First Parish is what it is because of me and because of you. We are only as strong as we make this place, and you do that constantly each and every day, whether it's singing in the choir, whether it's by giving money so that we can fix ridiculous repairs, issues with our building, whether it's taking our kids across the street to teach them RE, mentoring our kids as they go through coming of age. We're keeping this community whole, we're keeping this safe, and I, for one, spending weeks in the desert dealing with horrible things day in and day out, look forward to coming to a place like this and knowing it exists. I'm just really grateful, and I'm grateful that you all are part of that and making it exist for me too. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Martha. And now I'd invite up Anne Marie Bird to share another testimonial.
Good morning. A year ago, when I walked through these doors for the first time, looking for something I didn't quite know how to name. I wasn't searching for spiritual dogma or a set of rules to follow. I was searching for connection, a place where my family and I could engage with others in a meaningful way, and I found that here. In just 1 year, First Parish has become so much more than a place we visit on Sunday mornings. It's become our community. My twins, John and Ben, who you all know very well now, have found other kids who they genuinely look forward to seeing each week, talking about topics that matter, like justice, kindness, what it means to be human, and how we treat each other and the earth. And the OWL program has given them something irreplaceable, a safe space to learn about growing up, relationships, and their bodies with trusted adults that they can ask the hard questions to. And as a parent, that is everything. But what struck me most about this congregation is just how genuinely people care, not just about each other, but about the wider community and the world that we're leaving our kids. People here don't just talk about values, they live them. They show up, they volunteer, they protect the environment, and they work for justice. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we talk about sharing our time, talent, and treasure, and I've seen that lived out here in wonderful ways. When my family brought our mini golf set to the Medfield Day celebration this year, sharing our time and talent, it was very meaningful to us to see the fun and energy it brought to the grounds. Being on the membership outreach committee and bringing food for coffee hour after the service, these aren't obligations, they're joys, and they're how we build the strong community we all want to be a part of. And we get to do all of this in a building that is itself a gift. This old meeting house has stood at the heart of Medfield for 350 years, I think that's right. It's the oldest continually used public building in our town, and it deserves to be maintained, not just as a historical property, but because it represents something enduring, a place where people gather, question, support each other, and work to make the world better. That's been happening here since 1653, and we get to be a part of continuing that legacy, which is pretty cool. But here's the truth, none of this happens without treasure. Not the religious education program shaping our kids, or the community outreach that serves Medfield and beyond, or the maintenance of this beautiful building and the staff who hold this all together with such care. The congregation runs on the financial support of its members. That's it. That's how we keep the lights on, the programs running, and the doors open. I've come to see my pledge as an investment in what matters most: community, connection, the growth for my children, and a place where I can live my values alongside others that share them. When I pledge, I'm saying this matters to me. My family belongs here. And I want to make sure this place is thriving, not just surviving, for the next family who walks through those doors looking for what we found. Sorry. So asking you to join me, pledge what's meaningful to you. If you're new like me, consider making your first pledge. Every contribution matters because this community, this beautiful and perfect, caring and engaged community in this remarkable building deserves our support. Thank you.
Thank you all for those powerful testimonials. So friends, why do we give? We know in our bones that giving is good for us. It feels good to give to others. Whether it's giving of our time, offering a gift, giving away money, it just feels good. It nourishes our spirits. But I wonder, where does this good feeling come from? I think that giving feels good because it reminds us of a deeper truth, that we need one another. Our need for one another speaks to our ultimate connection, our interrelatedness, our interdependence. We need one another because we belong to one another. I know that I can't make it in this world except for the generosity of others. Our generosity expresses our kinship and our mutuality. There's a kind of giving that is simply about charity, of positioning oneself as more powerful because of the luck or fortune of having more. But true generosity comes from a place of mutual respect and acknowledgement of our shared worth and dignity. True generosity recognizes that we're all in need. We're all at one time or another in need of the other. I think that giving also feels good because of another truth that it helps us to recognize. In that moment that we give, we recognize that we have something to offer that the other person might need. In that moment, we recognize that there is indeed enough. We recognize our own sufficiency. We recognize that what we need is right here. There were a team of social scientists who set out to try to better understand how Americans approach generosity and what the impacts of generosity are on other people's lives. They wanted to be able to build some empirical evidence to add to the traditional wisdom of religion and philosophy on this subject. Their overarching study is called the Science of Generosity Initiative, and it's based at the University of Notre Dame. Well, two of the social scientists involved, Christian Smith and Hilary Davidson, they turned all of their research and conclusions into a book entitled The Paradox of Generosity: Giving We Receive, Grasping We Lose. Researchers for the initiative surveyed 2,000 individuals over a 5-year period. They interviewed and tracked the spending habits and lifestyles of 40 of those families from diverse class and racial backgrounds. Over and over again, the scientists documented a strong correlation between generosity and what they called the 5 markers of well-being: happiness, bodily health, purpose in living, avoiding depression, and interest in personal growth. The kind of generosity that seemed to make the biggest difference were repeated behaviors that involved recurring intention and attention. Things like financial giving, volunteering, generosity in relationships, and caring for friends and neighbors. These kinds of sustained practices are what the researchers found led to greater well-being. There are many outcomes that they tracked, and these are just a few examples. Those who describe themselves as, quote, very happy, volunteer on average of 5.8 hours per month, as compared to those who describe themselves as unhappy, who volunteer just 0.6 hours or 36 minutes a month. Those who gave away 10% or more of their income were more likely to report feelings of strong sense of life purpose compared to those who did not give away 10% of their income. And the numbers of those surveyed who reported poor or fair bodily health are lowest for those who report high generosity in their relationships. That is, being generous with one's attention and emotions and relationships with other people. And while the numbers reporting poor or fair bodily health are highest for those who report the lowest levels of relational generosity. Now, while the researchers find a strong and consistent correlation between generosity and well-being, it would be a stretch to say that being generous with your money, time, emotions, and in your care for others will automatically make you a healthy person. But the evidence is that there are regular practices of generosity work together with our emotional systems and our bodies in ways that, taken all together, can lead to a greater sense of well-being. One of the causal mechanisms that the authors describe that most relates to us as a spiritual community is this one. Quote, generosity often creates positive, meaningful social roles and personal self-identities for generous givers to live out, which tends to lead to greater happiness and health. I believe that one of our purposes as a spiritual community is to offer one another ways of being generous. We create here as a community opportunities for you as individuals to serve with your time and your gifts. You can help others with acts of neighborly generosity. And this is also a place in which your financial generosity serves a greater purpose. You're offered here the chance to play a meaningful role in living out our UU values. This spiritual community is a place of passionate participation. That engagement takes many forms. You serve on committees, you bring meals and comfort to those who are struggling, you teach our children, you take care of our grounds in this historic meeting house, and yes, you give money so that the work of this congregation may continue. And while your generosity can and does serve this church community, ultimately, this is a place of practice. It's a place that hopefully prepares you to live generously and with an open heart, not just here within this congregation, but in your relationships with friends, with loved ones, with neighbors and strangers outside of our congregation. It's here that we can practice noticing when our hearts start to close a bit, or when we may be holding on to our resources out of fear or anger, instead of offering them as gifts to the world with trust and hope. This kind of practice actually changes us. The writer Kent Nerburn shares this reflection on giving. He says, giving is a miracle that can transform the heaviest of hearts. Two people who moments before lived in separate worlds of private concerns suddenly meet each other over a simple act of sharing. The world expands, a moment of goodness is created, and something new comes into being where before there was nothing. It's this impact that makes our stewardship within this congregation both sacred and powerful. Your financial giving is a generative act, and the impact of your contributions is multiplied when it's gathered together with others. So if you've already made a pledge for the upcoming church year, I would sincerely like to thank you. If you've not yet made your pledge, I ask you to consider how in giving of yourself you might receive in return. How might engaging in this act of giving cultivate your own generous hearts? How can your financial support of this community of love and justice deepen your connections to those around you? So many who came before us loved this congregation into being. We are so grateful for those who loved this church into what and who we are today. And now, friends, we are those people. It's our blessing, it's our honor, and it's our turn. So may it be. Amen. Well, now I'd invite forward Fritz Fleischman to introduce the morning's offering.
Hello again. So many good and moving things have been said today that I will just forbear any further comments, except to point out that today's donation is split between this congregation and a number of local food pantries who are in greater need than ever. So let us be generous and go forward.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, Amazing Grace, which is number 205 in your gray hymnal. Friends, in the end, it won't matter how much we have, but how generously we've given. It won't matter how much we know, but rather how well we live. And it won't matter how much we believe, but how deeply we love. Go in peace. I'll now extinguish our chalice, but may its light and warmth stay with us until we meet again. Here ends our worship. Let our service begin.